Hi, this is Katie Weeks, your independent, close to my heart maker. And today I'm joining with Miranda Weber in the My Scrappy Life virtual crop with a gathering and family time theme. I'm doing a Pinterest inspired layout challenge, and I chose this darling layout from my friend Jessica Dipsinski. And this is the picture that I want to scrapbook. I don't often do one-page layouts, but I'm doing this one of my parents. And I'm using Journey, the light side of Peacock, and a variety of other papers that I pulled out. Some I use, some I don't end up using. I will leave a list of the ones I actually use in the description below. But Journey is the color of the year for Close to My Heart, so I kind of wanted to feature that one. So I took the different papers and cut them down to 2-inch squares and then cut some of them on the diagonal to get triangles. And I'm just kind of looking at Jessica's layout and trying to eyeball how I would envision laying out this page. So I see that there's 4 triangles across the top, and then some that go down both sides, one on the left and a bunch on the right. I think she might have left a gap on the right hand side, but she had 3 pictures and I only have 1. So I think I'm going to make this design go all the way down the right side. So as I was laying this out and trying to come up with a good pattern so that I don't have the exact same prints next to each other, I was noticing that some of her squares were made up of 2 triangles from different patterns. And so I tried to replicate that in some places, and I tried to just find a design that I thought was kind of visually pleasing. So I worked on this, and I really like that I used probably, I think like 5 or 6 different patterns that actually made it easier to not have the same pattern next to each other. So the more patterns that you have, then that makes it easier to come up with this design type thing. There were a few times I had the Journey and the light side of the Peacock next to each other, but otherwise there wasn't too much that was very, similar enough. So I thought it still worked together. And I tried to make sure that the patterns that I had were used in different parts of the layout, some across the top a couple of times, and then also coming down and around that right side pretty good as well. And then as I wrapped it around the side, I tried to make some of the split squares with 2 triangles. Instead of dividing across the middle, I had them dividing up and down, if that makes sense. Instead of the divide being horizontal, I made it vertical. So I switched it up so it wasn't the same on all of the combined squares, if that makes sense. So once I got this laid out on my White Daisy cardstock, I'm not quite sure how it's going to fit on. So you're going to see that later on I actually had a gap on some of the sides, and so I actually trimmed down my whole cardstock. So if I had to do this over, I would probably make the White Daisy 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. I think it would have fit a little bit nicer had I started with that. But I did kind of start from the top right hand corner and work my way around. The other thing I did is the first row of full squares, they kind of look like diamonds, I tried to put them down at 3, 6, and 9. And I really started with that 6-inch point on my Versamat and worked my way out. And you'll see that in a minute. Here I'm just seeing how much would be covered by the picture, and I'll actually mat that picture so it'll cover up more than you see. But I just wanted to get an idea of how I was doing and how these might look on the layout. But I really like this design and I like these colors. I'm not sure if Fran has posted the picture, the graphic for inspiration, but that's where I got the inspiration for all of my color choices. So I actually pulled all of those squares off and put them on another mat in order so that I could come in with some of my shimmer brushes. And I squeezed them onto my all-purpose mat a little bit, and then I'm just doing a splattering on the back, on that base page, on that white daisy page. And I used the Sundance shimmer brush first, then I used the gold one, and then I used Peacock, and it gave me a beautiful pattern. And when I was sticking down all of my squares, I don't know if you'll catch it, but there was one point at which I looked at the back to see what the other side of the paper was, and it looked almost exactly like the splatter pattern that I did on this white daisy. I thought that was kind of funny that my pattern ended up looking like a pattern paper that we carried in our line. I think it was maybe Crisp Air or something like that. But I didn't have a full sheet of that to use, so I kind of made my own with shimmer brushes. So I tried to make sure that my splatters went on the whole sheet, because even though I have that pattern with all those squares and triangles, you still have a little gap between some of them. And the one square that I used was also an acetate that you could see through in several places. So I wanted that splattered background to still show, even though I cover a lot of it up with the squares. So here you'll see I'm working at the 6-inch mark, the 9-inch, and then back here at 3, and it's not working out perfect, but that's kind of where I started, just so I'd have a basis of where to start gluing things down. And I put a little bit of adhesive on the back of each square, but it's removable as long as you try to restick it like soon, and you don't wait and you don't mash it down real good. So I kind of took advantage of that property of our Mono Air adhesive, is that it's somewhat semi-permanent at the beginning, and then once it's good to go, it'll stick. You won't be pulling it up tomorrow, I can tell you that. Here I'm kind of lining up those pointed corners to make sure they're going perfectly horizontal across my page. And this T-ruler was definitely an important tool in doing this layout. And there's probably an exact science to it. I did not look to see if Jessica Dipsinski had a video for that layout. She probably did, and it probably would have been a good idea to watch her tips on how to lay this out. But I go through and I'm just pulling these squares and triangles off of the mat that I have set off to the side, because that mat had them all in the right order that I spent all that time designing. So I want to tell you this theme for the weekend crop is gathering and family time. And we're supposed to talk about things that we're thankful for. And first thing I want to do when I talk about thankfulness is give a shout out to Miranda and our other veterans that are in this group. I so appreciate your sacrifice and your service to our country. And Miranda, make sure you tell Josh thank you as well. And I know some of the others in this group are military or have been married to veterans, and I appreciate your service more than you'll know. Next thing, the other things I'm thankful for, I have this picture of my parents, and it's been a long year. 2023 has. My dad had a hip replacement last February and was doing really fine immediately after it, and then ran into some major health complications a couple weeks later. And I'll pause for the story. This is a sheet of Journey that was gutted 1.5 inches all the way around for a frame, just because I have no idea why it was 1.5, just because that was convenient on my paper trimmer. And I have trimmed that paper down that has my squares to 11 3/4 to 11 3/4. And I'm matting this picture of my parents on 5x7 Peacock. The back side of that swirl paper, I cut that to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and the light side of Peacock was 4.5 by 6.5. Okay, on to the story. So my dad had some major health complications. Basically was could not feel anything from his hips down in March, and has been learning to walk again. So it's been a very challenging several months for our family, and he's been in hospitals and intensive therapy facilities, and back home, and then back to hospitals, back to therapy facilities, and back home again. And my parents celebrated their 55th anniversary in October, and my dad had just gotten his license that week that we took them out to eat, and it was like two teenagers. They had more fun driving places that week than you'll ever know. He still has some mobility issues, and he's still in therapy, but we were able to take them out to dinner and celebrate them. And it was probably the first time they had been out to like a fancy restaurant and sat down and ate. And I'm guessing 10 months maybe or so. I'm not exactly sure. Certainly at least 8 months, because even before my dad's surgery, he had a hard time getting around. So this was a very special night, and I was so very thankful that we got to take them out and celebrate their anniversary with them. So after I get this done, I'm looking at it and trying to decide the best ways to embellish it. And I'm looking at Jessica's layout, and I see she has stuff down in the bottom left-hand corner. So this is when I really started stash diving. And folks, I dug deep in my close to my heart stash. I looked at, first off the stamp of the month, and it had some good sayings that would go nicely with this theme. And then I dug out some old compliments, and I think I ended up deciding on some from Hello Lovely and Grateful Heart. I did try to color this word grateful from Falling For You, and tried to put it, to change it from that green to peacock. Let's just say I was not successful. I tried using my blending brushes with the Journey stamp pad, and nope, still looks green to me, and I have no green on my layout. So then I took my Journey stamp pad, and I tried stamping all over it direct to paper and making it more blue, and peeled off the backing so I could look at it better, and nope, it's still pretty green, especially when I put it next to my layout. So I clean that all up, scrap that idea, and move on to the next one. So since that didn't work, I went back to those Grateful Heart compliments, and I decided that those leaves, and there's some hearts, and there's also a little square that says celebrate, and I'm like, I think I can use those. I think those will look fine on my layout. I still love that word family and some of the hearts that are in the pack that says Hello Lovely. You can see those up in the corner of my screen. So I take that word celebrate, and again, with my blending brush and the Journey ink that's on there, I make it match my layout, put some adhesive on it. My fingers are so inky, I'm surprised I didn't ruin my layout with them, but I put those on, and then I put on the word family, so it says celebrate family, and I thought that went pretty nicely with our theme this weekend. And so I used my T ruler again, and I think I end up pushing this layout up some so you can see just a little bit better what I'm doing. Yep, there we go. And I use my T ruler. It's the best thing I found to help line up things on these 12 by 12 layouts. And I stick down the word family. And I don't usually do one-page layouts, but I usually take so many pictures that I can easily do a 2-page spread. So this one is one that I'll have that's just a 1-page layout, and I'll have to find something to put on the other side and try to match it, but I've got quite the hodgepodge of papers going on and accessories and embellishments, but I really like how it all came together. So in one of the packs I found this sweet little saying that says, "Together is our favorite place to be," and I thought that was pretty fitting for my parents because, you know, there were times that they've been separated this last year when my dad's been in the hospital and rehab facilities, and they just so enjoy being together again. And so I thought that was perfect. And so I want to come up with a way to do 3 clusters. Now, usually when I'm doing layouts, I spread my 3 clusters across the 2-page layouts. Doing 3 different clusters on just one layout kind of stumps me because I'm not used to working in such a small space to get 3 different areas. But I decide top left will work, and I'll put these leaves. They're kind of like painted half, and the other side is like a natural wood. So I put a couple of those there, and I worked with the leaves, and then I also had these hearts from Hello Lovely Compliments, and I really liked the idea of like doing 2 overlapping hearts because I thought that just would look perfect. And so I decided that I also could do that on the wooden hearts that I pulled out of the Grateful Heart Compliments. And so I overlap that heart, and then I dig out another one. I didn't realize there was already one laying right beside me, but I layered those up with the wood and the gold. I don't know what it is. It's like this rubbery, spongy, flexible sticker for a heart. It's adorable. I wish we'd come out with some more of those because I really liked that and the letters that said my family. Here's my layout. And my challenge to you is to go to your Pinterest board, find a layout that you have pinned, and Scraplift it. And then if you're in the virtual crop group, make sure you post it in the group for all of us to enjoy. Please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video, and make sure you subscribe to my channel and you hit that bell to turn on all the notifications so you'll be notified every time I upload a crafty video. Please leave me a sweet comment below and share this video with your crafty friends as well. It's free, why not share it? Have a great day.